Hey, great Flyers hat. Thank you. Go Flyers. Yager in a Flyers uniform. How crazy is that going to be? Yeah, Bruins. Tim Thomas is American. That's all I can say. That's a good thing. Next question.
Chael, so 2 questions. First question, do you have any aspirations of re-entering amateur wrestling at any point in your career before you retire, and what do you plan on doing if it's political in nature after you're done with MMA?
Amateur wrestling, yeah, it's Olympic year, and I get Olympic fever like everybody, and I love it. I follow it so close, and I just really respect the sport a lot. So yeah, I mean, I have fantasies of that. I don't think any of it is much of a reality, but yeah, I close my eyes at night and sometimes see myself trying to make an Olympic team again. But secondly, in politics, you know, I've got an interest in politics. I got in some hot water lately, so I won't be able to run for the House. I'll have to run for the Senate. I think that's probably more appropriate. They could use another gangster side by side with them. But, you know, my biggest goal, I'd like to see Brian Stan get elected to the presidency of the United States, if you'd really like to know.
So the only comment I'll make about the hot water is that I'm a capitalist, and I think you got a deal done, and I think it was a little ridiculous the way they sensationalized that.
I appreciate that very much. That's the way we see it too. But when you don't hold the cards, you just live with what they deal you.
Good luck in your next fight.
Thank you very much. Hey, Mark Delagrati, can you Google capitalist and sensationalism for me real quick?
Canadian over here, so...
Boston Bruins Stanley Cup champions, congratulations. It was hard. My wife's from Vancouver, so it was hard, but they played great. They're hard workers. We got you last year, but now Brizzy's in net for the Flyers, so hold the cup for a couple of months because we're bringing it to Philly next year this time, all right? Next question.
Well, we all know that the weigh-ins for 130, you predicted the Canucks were going to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that was incorrect.
We want to give you a chance to rectify.
I predict the Bruins will win the Stanley Cup this year.
Well,
he's a genius, ladies.
You know what? Tim Thomas stood on his head, and Marchand was the best player on the ice. And to see Bergeron come back from the concussion and play the way they did, I coach youth sports. I coach hockey. That's my love. That's my passion. Bobby Clark was my favorite player, so being here in Philly, this is the first time I've been back to Philly since they tore down the Spectrum. I had a tear yesterday because, you know, seeing the Kate Smith, Burt Watson's going to get you in big trouble. I am not going to tell them how much that is right now, but that's a lot more than 185.
217 pounds of muscle steel and sex appeal, ladies and gentlemen.
But it was great to see it for the Bruins. Tim Thomas deserved it. The Bruins wanted it more, and they played like a good hockey team would. They worked harder, and I always say to my kids, hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. So congratulations to the Bees, first Stanley Cup since 1972.
Can we just get you to say thanks to the Sedin sisters, Thelma and Louise?
You know what? The Sedin brothers, the Sedins did not show up, you know, and they were criticized early in their career, and they were not able to show up, and so I guess you could say in these playoffs they were the Sedin sisters. Ryan Kessler wasn't at 100%, though. I do know that, because Kess was dominant earlier in the playoffs, and he wasn't at 100%. But, you know, I feel bad for Roberto Luongo because he's a good guy, but what are you going to do? Tim Thomas epitomizes, you know, American hockey. And he's a great American, so I was happy at least. And Tim Thomas is a huge UFC fan, so I was happy to see him able to, win the Conn Smythe and for the Bruins to win the Cup.
And for Chael, if you were to get by Brian Stan, how would you feel about fighting the winner of Mayhem Miller and Bisping? Do you think that would be a step back, an appropriate fight? What do you think about that?
You know, I don't care about those step back. That's such a good question. You guys hear what he just asked? Would that be a step back? There's no such thing as a step back, and I'm sick of these fighters acting like it is. I just heard a fighter say, I am only going to fight champions and former champions. That was his statement. Who in the blue hell does he think he is? What if Dana White came to work and said, you know what, guys, I promoted a lot of big fights, and from now on, moving forward, I'm only going to promote champions and former champions. The industry would freeze. Who are these guys to pick and choose who they fight? I don't give a damn who gets in there. I fight them all. Come one, come all. We're having a ball. Bring it on, ladies and gentlemen. You want some of me? Say my name. Step backwards. What do I care about a step backwards?
Next question, please.
I'll go all the way backwards. I'll go to the bowels of society. I'll take on Black House if you want me to. I'll go that far backwards.
Hi, Chael.
You see, ladies and gentlemen, because Black House represents a lot of guys that I don't like, for those of you that don't understand. In case you didn't get that, you can reference it at Kevin Ioli's blog on Yahoo later. We got a fellow Eagle over here, ladies and gentlemen. I think we got a few turkeys in the crowd today. Okay, back to you.
Chael, I was curious, and thank you for the lead, and we have a pretty good idea who you're not as fond of in the sport, but I'm curious to know what guys you kind of consider to be friends, potential training partners outside of Team Quest. I know you've been training with Yushin, but who else is kind of on your short list that you'd almost call an ally, if there is such a thing?
Pretty interesting you said short list.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was
Who are the two people you actually like, Chael?
You know, I'll tell you, there really is a lot of good guys on the roster. I'm very close with Jake Shields, very close with Yushin Okami. You know, Charlie Brennan and Johnny Hendricks. Mike Pierce is my little brother. We grew up at the same wrestling club since we were young men. Frank Mir. But listen, you know, if you want to know for yourself, if you could hang out with any fighter, you should give a real consideration to Shane Carwin. One, he's just an awesome guy. Two, he's a really smart guy. And three, you get the bonus of his wife, who is just an absolute gem. And Goldberg can tell you, I'm sure he won't, but he could tell you, fighters have horrible taste in women. And Carwin married outside of his league. His wife is just awesome. It's like his 2-for-1 deal. I got to spend a day with them in Portland. They're great people. But there's there really is a lot of good folks out there.
Cool. Thanks, Chael.
We've all run our coverage in life from time to time, right?
That's right.
Yep. And it worked out for Shane. Next question.
Chael, I'm a big fan of yours and a big fan of Jim Rome. Just wanted to clear the air. Was it you or some Hispanic guy that was on his radio program?
Of course it was me. But come on, was it me? I'm a genius. That was the single greatest thing I've ever done. I'm so proud of that moment. In fact, I'm disappointed that I've just outed it because there are actually people out there who don't think that was me. I was training. Does anybody know what he's talking about? An interview that was done with Jim. Okay, we got a few people out there. I was training at Nike. And we would work out at the Nike World Headquarters, happens to be in my home state of Oregon. And we would work out in the Lance Armstrong building. He's got this huge pool. He's got a building all named to himself. So I'm in tight with the Nike guys. Lance is in tight with the Nike guys. So we go do this interview, you know, and I'm beat. I'm roughed up. There's no way for me to deny it. But the only thing I can hang my hat on is that I just woke up. So I thought maybe my voice had a little bit of sleep in my voice still, and I could play this whole silly me, I couldn't quite hear it routine. So it was the only card I had to play, you know, so I throw it out there across he's got the tape queued up. I had no idea he's got the tape queued up, and it was a perfect storm because I just watched Floyd Landis say all of these things on a 2020 special. So I jump on the radio, all of a sudden I'm parroting Floyd. Floyd doesn't get recognized. My stuff goes to the top of the charts. Next thing I'm on Jim Rome, it's 8 in the morning, and he catches me off guard. So I do this whole denial routine. Well, the guys at Nike really think, it's not me. So they've got this like high-tech sound equipment at Nike and something they call the Hive, where they make their commercials that are aired throughout the whole world. It's like super high-tech. And they're playing the tape of when I say Lance Armstrong, but when I deny that I said it, versus when I say, you know, just something else that's got the "os" of Armstrong, and there was a different sound in the A. So now Nike, these major players at Nike start to get involved, and they want to like crack this forensic code and clear my name. And I'm sending them a text like, "Hey guys, you might want to back off on this. You know, I'm beat. I got roughed up on this one. We're gonna have to take the bump." So that's the way that went.
All right, thanks.
Very welcome.
Good luck.
So the answer to the question is, yeah, it was him. Next question over here, please.
All right, Chael. I'm a huge fan. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't take this the wrong way.
Take it wrong that you're a huge fan?
No, I'm a huge fan, but the question is a little...
Oh, I understand.
Don't they always say that? Whatever? Don't they always say whatever you say before you say the word "but" you really don't mean?
Yeah, I understand. Go ahead.
How much crack do you smoke to come up with these things that you say? I mean, I'm shocked sometimes.
Well, I am a brilliant man. And it's something that has plagued me for a long time. And I will tell you one thing in my defense. I do often hear that I talk shit, but at the end of the day, in my entire life, I've never said a 4-letter word. You won't ever find an interview. You won't ever find printing, written, radio, YouTube. I don't curse, and I don't think of myself as a guy that talks trash. I'm not in the business of selling a fight. You know, I'm just not. Zuffa does their job. I just got to walk to the ring and do mine. That's it. And I don't do that, but I will share my thoughts, and every now and then you get a guy on the docket that you really want to fight with. I think all of you have somebody in your office you'd probably like to go get into a fight with. The good news is, in my profession, I can. That's it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. No crack, no cuss. Chael Sonnen, ladies and gentlemen. And we continue on the Letterman Show. Another Bruins jersey. Seriously, it's starting to piss me off a little bit.
Sorry about that, Goldie.
That's okay. Congratulations on the Stanley Cup. It's awesome. Woohoo!
That sounds great coming from your mouth.
Thank you,
Hey,
buddy.
I got a quick question for you, Goldie, before I get to Chael's question. You talked a little bit about Tim Thomas before. Where would you rate his performance in this year's playoffs compared to all-time goalies?
One of the greatest performances of all time. Maybe the best performance of all time. I mean, you go back to Ron Hextall with the Flyers when they ended up losing, but he won the Connie. He was spectacular back then. But when you look at a 97% save percentage, it was as good as any postseason performance by a goaltender, I believe, in the history of the Stanley Cup Finals. It was absolutely outstanding. Outstanding. And it was tough to watch being a Canucks guy.
And Chael, this question's for you. Would you ever have any interest in possibly jumping up to light heavy full-time and then, possibly challenging for that title or, specifically fighting someone like Bones?
Well, I mean, I've got an interest in anything, and I really will fight any one of them, and I think that's a good motto to have. Dan Henderson, that's something that he does. That's someone I learned from. Randy Couture, one of my mentors, Matt Lindland. These are the guys that I learned from. Those are the three guys that I emulate. And, I mean, those guys will fight with anybody. When I became a fan, was back in the Hoist Gracie days. He weighed 178 pounds, and he took on all comers. And, the weight classes came in later. I was already in. I was already on board, and those weight classes came in. So I try not to get too caught up in that. A match is a match, and you got the big names, the small names. There's no different. The octagon's the same size. The rules are the same. You got to fight them all if you're the best.
Thanks, Chael.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. Next question over here.
Hey, it's a question that's been bothering me for a while, for a couple weeks now. Did the Nogueiras really try to feed a bus?
Can you believe that? That really happened.
They really tried to feed it.
That's exactly how that went down. Whoa, big fella. And he was petting the little nog. He had this baby. He was sticking it in the grill. I took some pictures on my iPhone. I wish I would have brought it. I could have showed you. Let's put that on Jim Rome, have the guys from Nike look into it, and we'll see what happens.
Hey, I think you should put them up. That'd be
All
great.
right.
Kind of stole my thunder with the 205 question, but I'll just ask you. You've always had a lot to say about most of your opponents. Your next guy, you've said you have a lot of respect for. Brian Stanley, he's a Marine. He's a hero. In your mind, not even selling a fight, but what do you have to do to take down this guy that's just been on fire as of late?
Well, look, I don't manufacture conflict, and I'm not going to go out and create something with Brian Stan that isn't there. Brian Stan is a great guy. I wrote him in and voted him for the President of the United States in 2008. I will write him in again in 2012.
I'll do that also.
And when he becomes the legal age of 35 by 2016 per our Constitution, I hope that you all vote for Brian Stan. He is an outstanding human being. Look, this isn't 1984. This isn't the Iron Sheik versus Sergeant Slaughter. I'm not going to walk to the ring in curled up boots looking for a camel's clutch. I'm not the bad guy here. He's an American. I'm an American, too. He loves the USA. I love the USA. But on October 8th in Houston, Texas, there's going to be a red, white, and blue ass whipping.
Good enough. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you very much, Kat. That will be a spectacular fight. Next question over